3. What's up, everybody? This is a PlayStation Lifestyle Underground podcast. We are an unofficial podcast of PlayStationLifestyle.net. I am Hugo Stiglitz. You can find me on PSN as Hugo Stiglitz _420, and Xbox Live is THNK4URSELF. And yep, the usual two guys today. You guys want to say what's up?
Sure. I'm Jordash. You can find me on the internet and PSN as Jordash7K.
And I'm Brian Mashallah. You can find me in the comments and forums as Brian Mashallah, on PlayStation Network and Nintendo Network as CloudStripe768. And if you try to Google eShop SteamWorld Dig 2, one of the suggestions is Martha Stewart. Just want to throw that out real quick.
You guys need to consolidate your usernames online. Get them all in one.
I'm about to change mine to SteamWorld Dig 2 Martha Stewart.
Well, I don't want
the one
to.
you're gonna go with?
If I could change my PlayStation name, I would, but, you know, Sony. But yeah. What's it called? So this week, been playing a bunch of different things. Assetto Corsa, they came out with some new content, so I've been playing that a lot. Also F1 2017. As well as I've been doing Assassin's Creed 3. Black Ops 1 I finished the other day. And I played like a little bit of Resident Evil 5. But it's like, man, that game has lulls in it. It's like it starts off in a lull, then it gets good, then now I'm in another lull period. So it's like I'm not over eager to play it. Like, also because I know it's like 20 hours long, like Resident Evil 4, which is like, just like, man, I know I'm going to be at it forever, so I'm not going to force myself to play it if it's not overly interesting at that time. I'll get through it over time. Maybe a couple months, who cares? But, yeah, other than that, just Call of Duty Prop Hunt, pretty much. I haven't been playing much besides that. And Lara Croft Go on Vita still. Because everything else is deleted thanks to my 64 megabyte memory card. Gigabyte memory card. Shitting the bed on me, so. Fuck you, Sony. But, what have you guys been playing?
I played pretty much the same stuff I did last week. I played a lot of Battleborn over the weekend, and I played Borderlands 2 during the week. I finished up all the little odds and ends I had left in Borderlands 2 and got the platinum for that. I saw that Teslagrad had a super easy platinum that took like 2 hours, so I did that this afternoon also. And on PS Now, I found a little game called Chronicles of Teddy, Harmony of Exodus. And it's like a little side-scrolling RPG, little Metroidvania type thing. And I played that a little bit, and like it has like a really, just a good little art style to it. I've only played it for like probably 15 minutes, but I've really enjoyed what I had so far, and I'll probably be playing that over the weekend, along with the Overwatch free weekend. I'll get my 4 hours of Overwatch in for the year and enjoy that. But that's it for me too.
Nice. Brian?
For me, I've been playing quite a bit of Destiny 2 still. Finally knocked out and finished Danganronpa 2 and played the demo of Danganronpa 3, which unfortunately is another one of those poor Japanese game demos. But nonetheless, I'm really, really excited to play Danganronpa 3 in a couple of days. As always, a little bit of Final Fantasy here and there. Some Splatoon here and there. Some Mario and Rabbids Battle Kingdom. I whipped out my Ys 8 Lacrimosa of Dana disc and played some of that. And as of Tuesday, some Final Fantasy 9. And Metroid on 3DS.
You played a lot.
I did. It's been a busy week for me.
Nice. Yeah, this week was Tokyo Game Show. there hasn't been like a ton of news, just like a lot of trailers of stuff. The one that mainly caught my eye was Shadow of the Colossus remake got another trailer. Actually like a kind of closer look at what it's actually going to look like, and yeah, it looks awesome. Definitely noticed a little more of it, that it's early in development, unlike the first one. The first one looked completely polished, and I was like confused why it's going to take them to 2018, because I didn't see a single sign of them not have, it was very good looking on that commercial, on that original trailer. This one showed a little more signs of it being earlier in development, and now I get it, like, because I don't want to wait for it, but I think it'll be worth the wait, and I can see why they're taking their time with it instead of rushing it out this year. But that was the highlight for me out of Tokyo Game Show. Do you guys have any?
They had a new trailer for Sonic. What's it called? Sonic Forces, and I watched that. I guess I'm looking forward to that game, but that was pretty much all I looked at it from the whole thing. Nothing really. Yeah, there was nothing new. It was just a lot of trailers for Japanese developer games.
I can't unsee Sonic with hands from that Persona costume. It's weird. But other than that, the
Doesn't he
big Tokyo
usually
Game
have
Show.
gloves on or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if you've ever been able to determine how many fingers he has, but I mean, in the Persona costume, it's just a straight, swollen human hand.
That's creepy.
Yeah. It's a little weird. And my big Tokyo Game Show news is not quite as creepy. The only thing I really cared about so far has been the Final Fantasy IX available now announcement.
Yeah, that was a very weird thing that happened this week. Just here's Final Fantasy IX. We forgot that we did it, but I'm glad it's out.
Yep.
I always like those.
We haven't been getting too many of them from Sony-related things lately, I feel like, except for demos and...
Yeah, there wasn't any at E3 this year. I think there was at PSX, but I don't know. It's always nice when they do that.
Especially something as me and Jordash discussed a couple weeks ago, as amazing as Final Fantasy IX, which is arguably the cream of the crop in Final Fantasy PlayStation 1 games.
Oh, it is PlayStation 1, okay.
Yep.
So is it similar to the Final Fantasy VII port on PS4?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's the PC IO or mobile version with like the little touch-ups to the character sprites. The backgrounds pretty much are unchanged, but they added in a bunch of really shitty trophies, I think, and
Oh my god.
yep, and
Hate shitty trophies.
Oh, there's so many super grindy trophies. You have to kill 10,000 enemies, which will take a very long time. The battles aren't very fast in that. I guess you can speed it up, but it still sucks. You have to do like a little like digging mini game with a chocobo, and you got to level them up to level 99. And even if you did like the full complete side quest, you're only going to get to like level like 40 to 50 on your own. So you're doing that for God knows how long. There's a jump rope mini game where you have to do it 1,000 times. The jump rope, like, it's not just like a timing thing. Once you get above jump, I think it's 200. It's like random timing, so you can't just like close your eyes and do it. It sucks. Like 8 people will grind out that platinum, and that'll be it. Terrible for trophy people. Terrible.
yeah, it had a
Yeah.
it had a like 0.3% completion rate on PC, and that's with the ability to install
Cheat.
an auto clicker.
Yeah.
Oh.
It just goes to show how terrible that is.
Well, I don't know. Like, also, people on PC tend to not give a shit about Steam achievements as well, so...
All that is partially true. I get the feeling that if you care enough or you're close enough, and some people do, then, especially with a achievement or trophy like that, you install an auto clicker, then it goes by a little faster and easier. But
True.
so
Like,
few
I
people
bet it
give
would
a
be a
shit.
little higher on PS4, but no, you still make a good point. Anytime there's a game with a platinum that's that rare or complete, I guess Steam doesn't have platinums though, does it? Huh? It's just completion. Anytime you have something that low, percentage-wise, that means that the platinum sucks and is too difficult.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I'll play the game and I'll beat it, but I will not endeavor to waste, I don't know, months trying to jump rope 1,000 times. It'll be impossible.
I can double check right now. As of right now, even though the game has been
Oh,
out
no one's
for
platinumed it. I looked at it like an hour ago.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
0.1% have gotten the jump rope trophy.
Wow. Oh, so that probably means one person did it, because once it's above 0, it'll go to 0.1.
Yeah. Then again, just there's so many random trophies to this game that it's. I
gonna
think
take a
the
while.
Steam. I think the Steam version had like 85 trophies, so I feel like they picked the worst 40 or something like that and just put them in the trophy list.
That's always nice.
Which was unfortunate, especially since the Final Fantasy VII Platinum was, I mean, really, really easy, I think. It had some tricky, grindy stuff, but for the most part, it was very simple.
You're talking about 7?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 7 was a breeze.
Interesting. But, yeah, didn't we have another... Oh, NPD numbers came out, and somehow GTA 5 won last month, which is kind of sad. I mean, it's only retail, so it's not the hugest deal. I mean, a game like that will sell a ton at retail, but it's been several years since that game came out. I don't know who doesn't have it already, but apparently enough people to put it at number 1 again. I think what was behind it, like Uncharted and
Well,
Agents of Mayhem.
Grand Theft Auto was number 2. Madden was number 1.
Oh, okay. I forgot about Madden.
Yep. And Uncharted Lost Legacy was 3. Splatoon 2
That's
was
pretty
4.
good.
Zelda Breath of the Wild was 5.
For a PlayStation exclusive and not like a huge one, I mean, it isn't Uncharted, but it's not like Uncharted 4. I'd say that's pretty decent, coming in third, but hopefully it has a tail as well, because I thought it was a really great game, but I have my doubts that it'll be super popular, just because it's, I don't know if it's as appealing as 4 was, or the rest of the series.
Also, boys rule and girls drool, so that is a big
Yeah, that's part of what I was thinking. Like, I mean, I don't think it's, like, because I think people are probably going to be confused on that. Like, the fact that it's not Nate, it's Chloe, and it's like, you wonder how many people even remember Chloe, or, like, maybe haven't played Uncharted 2 and 3, or something, so, yeah, I don't expect it to come, like, close to the rest of the series, but, I hope it does well, because I really enjoyed it. I thought it made up some of the things that I missed in Uncharted 4, gameplay-wise and set-piece-wise, but, yeah, see what happens. But yeah, no, the Nintendo Switch still doing some pretty good numbers, I guess.
Yep, let me just look at the numbers. The top 3 of the top 7 were Switch games in Zelda, Splatoon, and Mario Kart. And that's, Zelda came out in March, and, well, technically also out on Wii U. I feel like most of the numbers are Switch. And that's on top of Agents of Mayhem actually debuted in 16th, which is a little rough. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know if it did better digitally or not, but still, there's a brand new game from Deep Silver Volition, Saints Row Studio, and it couldn't beat out games that have basically been out for several months or longer.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not super surprised. It wasn't a ton of buzz around that game, but yeah, that probably hurts. them. But yeah, our topic for this week is difficulty in games. Now, not necessarily trophies. I know we talked about that a little bit earlier, but we will save that for our trophy podcast, which we will do, many times in the future. So we'll try to just stick to actual game difficulty. And I personally, it depends on the game for me, but I really like a challenge. What I really appreciate, though, the most is a game that cleverly ramps up the challenge as you progress through the game. Like, I know what one that comes to the top of my head is Severed. It does a very good job of introducing mechanics one at a time through each battle that you go through. Well, not each battle, but you know what I mean. Like, there'll be certain points where they'll all of a sudden introduce something new because of a new enemy type, and by the end of it, you're having to combine all of them. And I love when games do that because it's a good way for the player to become much, much better at a game without just being hit into a brick wall of a difficulty spike, which some games definitely have. Like Fight Night Champion is a perfect example of that for me, just because the entire story mode of that game was ridiculously easy. Then all of a sudden you hit the boss, which is the most difficult boss I've ever faced in a video game. But at the same time, it's like after I finally beat him after a couple days of trying, it was rewarding as shit to finally have beaten him, and I was much better at the game because of it. So I definitely appreciate a good challenge, although sometimes I think it goes overboard. What do you guys think?
Let's see. I prefer games that are very difficult. Like being raised on all those Nintendo hard games back in the day, you didn't have a choice but to get good at video games, or you wouldn't like them because you couldn't beat like the second level in any game. Because back then, what some developers would do was back then, because renting was so good, they'd make like the second or third levels of games extra hard, so you couldn't just beat the game when you rented it over the weekend, so you'd have to rent it again. But yeah, so many difficult games end up being like my favorite ones. Just like a week or two ago, I played through Downwell, and I really enjoyed the difficulty and challenge of that game. I mean, if you play through like correctly and don't die, it's a 20-minute game. But because it is so difficult and there's a challenge and there's a big learning curve for each stage, I absolutely loved it because it was very difficult. It was very punishing if you didn't play perfectly. Which, by the way, did you guys play that when it came out on Plus last month?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Nope.
How about you? No, no. You're missing out. It's very fun. Yeah, it's a very simple game. You fall down a well, and yeah, there's one button you use. You move left and right, and you jump. And when the same button you jump, you shoot down. And there's different kinds of enemies that are in the way. Some enemies you can jump on and fall on. Some enemies you have to shoot. And that's the entire base of the game. And what makes it a quality game is because it had the difficulty that it had. And it wasn't just that it was hard and unfair. It was very hard, and it was fair, but it was very hard, and you had to play very well to beat it. Especially on hard mode. Like you mentioned, difficulty curve ramping up. Once you beat it on normal, you're like, oh, because once you beat it on normal once, like I was running through getting the trophies on it, and like I ran through it on normal again, like 2 or 3 times straight in a row to get the last 2 trophies for that. Then I played hard mode, and it was like a whole new game. Like there was like 3 times as many enemies, and it was just it was really, 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 really hard. But I just kept at it for the afternoon and still beat it and all that. But what I felt good about it when I beat it, like I probably got it all done in somewhere between like 6 to 8 hours. But when I saw people talking about it online, some people are saying, "Yeah, I played for 20 hours and I just got through. I did it all. I played for 40, and I felt really good that I beat it way faster than these people that are in their like Reddit deep discussion about the game." So I felt pretty good about that last week. And I've complained about about Bloodborne before, but Brian, what do you got for us?
I'm a little all over the place with this topic because it just depends for me. Some games I enjoy the challenge and appreciate it, and in some cases I just can't do lower difficulties. Um, Uncharted 4, I basically started on not, I think maybe hard or whatever was just below crushing because it was locked out. Same thing with
Actually, it
Lost
wasn't.
Legacy. Oh,
But I assumed the same thing that you did, so yeah,
but
can't blame me. But apparently it was unlocked from the start.
it's well,
Because it always
Lost
was
Legacy
locked, like, on the previous Uncharted, so.
and Lost Legacy crushing was um, locked in the very beginning as well. So
That's weird.
but I'm so familiar with Uncharted, I basically played and beaten all of them on crushing so often. And before Uncharted 4 came out, I played the entire trilogy on crushing to platinum them. That it just would have been too easy for me to play on anything less than hard. And same
Yep.
thing with Lost Legacy. I just started on hard, and while I've had some difficulties here and there because I'm more familiar with the hide behind cover constantly from the previous Uncharted games versus the more use your environment to your
Yep.
advantage in 4 and especially Lost Legacy, it's still pretty easy for me.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I never had a problem with any of the Souls games. I played quite a bit of Demon's Souls as a hipster before it got popular. I just didn't like the setting or the speed of the game. And, even Bloodborne, I liked it. I liked the challenge. I liked the difficulty, but just the gameplay of it and the slowness of it to me was not enjoyable. So that's why I never did it. Neo, though, I actually beat it all the way through just because that combat is faster and reminded me of Ninja Gaiden, which I played on, I don't know about the most difficult setting on Xbox way, way back in the day, but definitely at least the second most difficult setting, which Ninja Gaiden is a very, very hard game. Not the the NES one, but the modern console edition as well, which I think Ninja Gaiden Black PS3 got. So, yeah. But that doesn't always apply to all my games. Those are
Definitely not racing.
Yeah, no. except for Mario Kart, I'll fuck with some 150 and 200 cc sometimes.
Oh, okay. No, yeah. I just mean like the basic gameplay or driving of it. Like,
Yeah, no.
I mean, you found Drive Club to be too difficult. So that's mainly what I meant. Like, you can do Mario Kart, maybe Need for Speed or something, but yeah, anything that requires braking, nope. Correct?
Same thing with fighting games. I couldn't beat on. I chose to play Injustice on easy just to play the story because I got like a third of the way through the game on normal, and it was just infuriating. Same thing with Mortal Kombat. They were just so I mean, I have always disliked Mortal Kombat anyway. It's not, I appreciate and enjoy what it does, but I've just always been so bad at it for some reason that that has formed my opinion around the game, and that is translated into Injustice and Mortal Kombat now. So I was told and heard and everything that Injustice had a great story, so I played it for the story on as easy a difficulty as possible to experience the story. But I will never play those games on anything more than easy just to play the story because it's too frustrating. It's not worth the frustration for me.
And you have to put in so much time to be a quality player at a fighting game. It's a huge investment
with each character, too, because it's like you got to learn the moves, and
it's so different. Yeah, it's a mess.
It's rough.
Too much time. Yeah.
Like in my experience, I found Injustice much, 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 much easier than Mortal Kombat 9 was for the story mode. I think I played them both on easy, but I breezed through Injustice. But Mortal Kombat 9, there were a couple times where it was absolutely brutal. Like, especially that final fight with Shao Kahn, where I had to basically cheat to win, using
Shao Kahn's a
literally
cheating
only two
bitch.
moves. Yeah, no, he definitely is, but I cheated back. I used two moves, and that was it. Just spammed them over and over again, and it worked. But yeah, I actually found Injustice pretty easy. But yeah, fighting games are a tricky one. Like, especially if you try to go online, it's like it can be brutal. Like, you sometimes don't even get a shot in, at least in my experience. But except for Fight Night, because that one boss fight at the end I always talk about, that actually did prepare me pretty well for playing online, and I actually won a few matches, so that was cool. But then I just stopped playing, kind of. So all that skill set went down the tube, I assume. But now a lot of people talk about the Souls games being difficult, and I don't necessarily believe that they are. I believe it's more that just they're brutal, absolutely brutal with the way they work, because if you die, you go way back, and then have to fight your way through. And it definitely is tough for new players. Like, and I would consider myself one of them. I haven't played a whole lot of melee type games, and most of the ones I did were just button mashing, like God of War. That's pretty much my melee combat experience with video games is God of War. So when I went into the Souls games, I definitely wasn't as good at it. Like, I, wasn't picking things up quickly. I still don't really. Like, so I do have a hard time with the actual combat, but I think it's more just that the game punishes you for losing. That makes people feel like, oh, it's so difficult, so difficult. When really, I think it's just more that the game is just brutal in its nature.
Yeah, and you guys mentioned, or I think Brian said that it's slow. It is. It's very slow, and if you're a patient man, you can see when an enemy does. Every enemy hit. It felt like they attack the same. They do a slow wind up, and you roll out of the way, and you hit him 3 times, and you dodge his next attack, and you hit him 3 more times, and he's dead. And then that was basically how every enemy was. Uh, like I played through some section of it, and then I didn't die, and then I got to the boss, some Bloodborne Beast boss, and I killed it, and I didn't die because I was just patient. Because every enemy, if they're not standing still or being hit by your attack, they're rearing back for their attack, and it's like just kind of pay attention.
Well, they definitely have ways of throwing people off, like, because they will mix in very quick attacks in between the big wind-ups, and what they'll do is they'll throw a quick attack, getting the player thinking that they need to be faster, and then they'll switch to a slower one so that, and then a lot of people will dodge, like, expecting the quicker one, and then they'll just get nailed by the heavier one because they were, expecting it. So, I mean, it's like kind of like a lot of tricks that they do in fighting and boxing where, you throw a bunch of shots to the body and then the head will be open because they'll be trying to defend their body. They get, you get the opponent thinking about that, and then that's when you can go for the head because they'll be open for it.
The only thing that really threw me in Bloodborne was how it was to flip the switch that I needed to just be totally free with using any health potions, because in a lot of games you're like, oh, I don't want to just use them all immediately. Well, in Bloodborne you have to, and
Yeah.
RPG
so
order.
if you do catch a hit, stab yourself in the leg with a little blood thing, and then you're fine. So, and then you can carry 20 of them. So as long as you don't get like caught and hit 3 times, and you don't heal, then you don't die.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yeah, after I was disappointed. I was hyped up that I was like, I'm going to get this super hard game, and then I don't know. I was disappointed that I was beating things on the first try.
I did hear that the Old Blood expansion was a lot more difficult, and the Chalice dungeons too. But main game was difficult enough for me, so yeah, I still haven't even finished it.
Yeah, I haven't played it for, I don't know, probably 3 weeks. If I get the itch, I'll pick it back up, but I'm finally crawling back into PS Now and seeing what's new on there. I'm looking through my trophy list to see some other, like, I guess, rare challenges that I've done. Downwell is one of the rarest things that I did. And also Transformers Devastation. That was my favorite game on PS Plus that came out last year, by the way. Most people didn't play it, but I thought it was a lot of fun.
I
didn't
still have it.
try it. I think I downloaded it,
Yeah.
but
It's one of
haven't
those
got around to
platinum
it.
games, fast-paced action games.
Yeah. But how about I mentioned one earlier, but how about some difficulty spikes? You got any examples of any? I mean, there must be in the RPG realm, correct?
Every single RPG that ever came out
Has one.
before PS1. Yeah, the old school RPGs kind of were reliant on that mechanic of every time you crossed the bridge, basically, then the enemies shot up in difficulty substantially, and that was to require you to, that was to inflate the game a little bit and require you to grind out and
Buy
get
the new
equipment.
sword and the new armor.
And then gain like 2 or 3 levels just to survive the next area, because of course when you got to the new town to get all the new equipment, all of that was to save something or some princess or some person to be able to do the next challenge, which was even more difficult. And that just repeated over and over again. And unfortunately with that was also very much dependent on RNG, because sometimes you would just get really, really unlucky and run into that one enemy that would, cast that one spell that would just kill your whole party. And if you didn't save in the last 3 hours, oh well. See ya.
Jesus. See, that... I was actually thinking about that. That's the type of difficulty thing that I cannot stand. Like, with Bloodborne, I expect it. The whole idea of there not being checkpoints and losing progress if you die. But there's also a lot of games that you're not expecting something like that to be there, and it just ruins the fun for me. I get really angry about it. Like, to me, I'd much rather have a game that is super difficult in the moment, but has lots of checkpoints, than one that isn't really that difficult, but difficult enough where you can get killed and then just get sent back like 10 minutes in progress. That drives me nuts. So it's like I can't even imagine RPGs where it's 3 hours. That would make me rage quit a game forever. Like, to be honest, I just really don't like repeating the same sections, especially like when it's like, you go through the easy parts, they're easy, they get boring after a while, and then it's like the hard part keeps getting you. It's just not fun to keep repeating that process to me. I hate it, and I hate games that don't have checkpoints, which is why, like, I love The Last of Us. I think Survivor mode is the way to play it, and I tried it on Grounded mode finally more recently, and I hate Grounded mode, not even because of the difficulty, because they took away so many of the checkpoints, and to me, that makes it not fun.
Yeah, being forced to repeat stuff, that sucks. But but I'm sure Brian and I, we've both learned from RPGs. You just save your game every single chance you get, because you never know.
Well, the thing is
when,
like the stuff I'm talking about, it would actually take longer to like reload your save than to actually like just go through. You know what I mean?
No. I don't know what you mean by like.
Well, also because in the games I'm talking about, like I'm talking about a lack of checkpoints. So if you don't, so even if you do save it at a certain point, it doesn't like bring you right back there. You know what I mean? It's like
Okay.
it's perfect in a game like Fallout 4 or something, because like whenever you save, it'll bring you right back to that point, and I love that about it. But like a lot of the games I'm talking about, the more linear stuff, is if there's a checkpoint, there's a checkpoint. Saving won't help. And I mean, yeah, no, like I know what you mean though. Like you learn the lesson after having one time where you have to go back 3 hours to save often, and I think I learned that lesson in Fallout as well.
To this day, I refuse to either close my 3DS or Vita or Switch, or even put the PS4 into rest mode until I make sure my game is saved. Because it's been ingrained in my head that I need to save all the time, whenever I can, or else I will lose progress. And every once in a while that pays off due to power outages or something like that, and you can't always rely on autosaves and stuff like that. So if a game doesn't have a simple autosave, or even a game that has an autosave rather, and that doesn't have a simple manual save, it really bothers me. Because I just want that peace of mind of being able to save myself.
Yeah. That is
sometimes
definitely...
due to difficulty, just sometimes due to that just peace of mind that I have due to difficult games or games that are just cheap. Because that's essentially what all old games were, to pad them out and make them more, quote unquote enjoyable. They just made them really, really cheap.
When you guys play a game and it will have the story and you play through that, and then the game will have like something like a Colosseum battles or like some sort of trial battles, and it'll have like, oh, fight through these, I don't know, 50 fights. I don't know what game it could be. Like Final Fantasy 12 has like 100 trial battles thing onto that. If you play a game that has like a specific challenge mode, do you play through those challenges?
Depends.
Yeah.
I honestly don't really want to do a lot of stuff like that anymore. I'm just not patient enough, or unless the reward is truly worth it, and maybe there's a trophy associated with it and I'm close to platinum or something like that. But for example, going into Final Fantasy X, I knew there was no way in hell I was ever going to finish the monster farm Coliseum, getting like 10 of everything to get all the super bosses to beat and stuff like that. I knew I was never going to do that.
See, I do like those in a lot of games. Like, I went through that Final Fantasy X with a smile on my face.
I really liked it in Infamous First Light, but
that's what I was just about to mention next. I enjoyed those in Infamous First Light.
They were fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I like a lot of those trial things because oftentimes when you play just through the story of a game, it's meant to be beaten. But then they have like the challenges or whatever that are meant to actually push you, and you have to play well to beat them. So I usually will dive into those almost every time. As long as I don't have to, like, I don't know, super, super grind to do them, I won't do it. But most of the time, I am all in on those.
Well, again, it just depends for me. I mean, I quite enjoy actually some of the more recent Zeldas that have challenge dungeons and stuff like that. Like Twilight Princess had a really enjoyable one, and Wind Waker had a pretty enjoyable one. Breath of the Wilds has a really, really enjoyable one, I think. That's based off of something that's already in the game. But those challenges are more enjoyable because they can be frustrating, but if you do things correct, then they're not so bad because, obviously it's not super against you. It's fair. As long as something is fair, then I'm okay with the challenge. If it's just cheap, I'm less okay with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, even like when it's something that when it has to do with like they could just be cheap. Even then, like I don't get like that annoyed by it. Like in say for like a kart racer that's always rubber banding. Like I don't even get that annoyed by like having to like race super perfect for the whole race to beat like a computer that's just magically cheating and going faster than me. Like for some reason, I still like dumb crap like that.
I don't. Especially when like they just so happen to rubber band hard right at the end and pass you right at the finish line. I get pissed about that.
Well, you just gotta save your boost till the end, obviously. Obviously.
Yeah, but they also have boost, and
Yeah, I know.
they might have more of it. Plus, they have
Yeah.
the rubber band slingshot effect, so I don't know.
What difficulty did you guys play Doom on?
Don't even remember.
Probably easy.
Like I had read somewhere, it was like playing on like before I got it. It was like playing on Nightmare, which is basically the hardest, except for Ultra Nightmare, which was Nightmare except you could never die. They said Nightmare was the way to play the
Oh
game,
yeah,
and I played through on Nightmare, and and it was absolutely very challenging, but I enjoyed it. Like the game
huh?
had tons of checkpoints, but every single battle, it was you made you fight for it. And when you did good on a fight the first time, it felt like I did really really good because I did beat it the first time. And if I had to
Yeah,
go through it a couple times, I was like, well, it's because it's so damn hard. And like that's the kind of the level of difficulty I want in basically every game. I want to be pushed. I don't want to just run through it. If I'm beating it on the first try, I want to be like getting through barely by the skin of my teeth. Um, trying to think of like another game that like Doom that like really really pushed me.
you didn't play Wolfenstein, did you?
I have not played it yet. No.
I found that, like, because I had played the game once and then did a new game plus on Uber, which is the
Mhm.
worst difficulty. I found it pretty easy. I expected it to be a lot more difficult, but part of it was because of all the upgrades I had. Without the upgrades, I think it actually would have been pretty brutal. But with them, it was a breeze, really. But as far as Doom, like, I'm pretty sure I played it on normal or the one above that, and I've rarely ever died. But I still had a ton of fun playing it, and that's just a testament to how good Doom is. Because like I wasn't even really challenging myself, and I was still having a blast. But I would like to actually try that on Nightmare. It sounds like fun. Not Ultra Nightmare though, like because that is just
You're
too
not gonna
much.
never die. F that. Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah,
on Nightmare, it pushes you and in a good way. When I played through Doom the second time, because I'm like I'm going to do the 100% and get all the upgrades and all that crap. Like I put it on a lower difficulty so I could kind of have no problems, and I had like no fun in any battle because I get hit by something and it's like, yeah, I did 8 points of damage out of my 200 health bar. It's like, well, this is kind of a joke, and so I was really happy I played through it the first time with being really pushed.
I honestly don't remember what difficulty I did it on. I know I didn't do it on a super hard one just because I was renting it and I wanted to get the full game out of it in a matter of just a couple days. Not that that necessarily is much of an excuse, but better than not playing it at all. Even though the platinum, which I did get, required you to beat the first level on Ultra Nightmare, which was
Yes.
terrible.
Oh, see, if you'd played on Nightmare before, he wouldn't have had much of a problem. Could
yeah.
have planned
Oh,
ahead for that.
I didn't have much of a problem. I watched a video and clipped through half the level.
No.
One thing that did dissuade me from trying it on like Nightmare or harder difficulties is I've never liked the way the controls are calibrated, and I've tried messing around with the settings myself. I haven't quite found something that really works for me. Like it just feels like a little funky. Like it really feels to me more like it was made for being played with a keyboard and mouse. It's not bad by any means, but it's just not quite as intuitive or comfortable to me as Killzone Shadowfall or Call of Duty or Uncharted. Like. So I just that was one of the reasons, but I will probably try it at some point and maybe just work harder to see if I can calibrate the controls myself, which I'm perfectly capable of doing. I just I don't know, I just wanted to play, so I kind of just stopped messing with them, tried to get used to it, but it's still not ideal the way I have it set up. So, but one shooter I do know that is like notorious for being ridiculously difficult on the hardest is Call of Duty World at War. It's pretty notorious for the grenade spam, and I did try some of it, and the one side of the campaign, the side that's in like Germany and Russia, not too bad at all. Japan, though, grenade after grenade after grenade, and they'll often throw 4 of them at you at a time. Like, you'll literally just see the indicators pop up, like, not just one at a time, like 3 or 4 will show up, and it's, like, insane. And so, like, that is one that, like, I feel like you should go after for bragging rights, and, like, especially because Call of Duty has a ton of checkpoints, so it has to be possible, but, like, yeah, no, that one's, like, notoriously tough. But as far as Call of Duty games, I usually do play them on veteran through the campaign. I've played almost every one of them. There's only a couple that I haven't, like Ghosts, because I didn't like Ghost campaign, and I think I haven't played Advanced Warfare on veteran yet. Even I do actually really like that game, but I played that on hard, and it was super easy. So it's like, I bet veteran would be a joke as well.
Yeah, a lot of those first-person shooter games, they almost similarly with Uncharted, like tons of checkpoints. So even when you play on the hardest difficulty, you're get through this room, checkpoint, go to the next room, and that does make it a lot more palatable.
Yeah, to me, that's a much more enjoyable way to play a game. Like, I would rather have super difficult game like World at War and a lot of checkpoints than one that's not so difficult but has no checkpoints. Like, I think I mentioned that earlier, but one of the reasons why I find like games like Trials Fusion and Trackmania Turbo, and actually another one, which it's a totally different type of game. It's a first-person platforming type game, but super difficult, called Dead Core, that I played over the summer. What I love about all 3 of those is instant respawn. Like, you just hit a button, back, try again. Like, I have a ton of fun with games. Like, even though they are very, very difficult, I have a ton of fun with them because it's just instant retry, and it gets super addictive that way too.
Quick load times are very underrated and underappreciated.
Oh yeah,
they are freaking tastic. You die, hit X to start over again immediately. Boop, put me in there.
Yep. Same with Badlands is another one that's like that. And one that's like the total opposite of that is actually Lara Croft Go, which I have been playing on the Vita. And it's not even that difficult, but let me tell you, the loading times are atrocious. Some of the most aggravating loading times I've ever seen. Because it's like, you make a little mistake, do one wrong move, you have to restart. And it takes like up to 20 seconds to reload. Like, just to respawn. It's ridiculous. And it's like, I assume it's like that on the Vita version.
Controller and put in a new game.
Yeah, no, I know. Then it's like, it is a great game, but it's like, that is what like just gets very frustrating about it. Like, and it's probably limited to mostly the Vita version, I gotta assume. Like, I haven't actually played the PS4 version, although it is cross-buy, so I do have it. But yeah, no, like, bad loading times can make a not difficult game just that much more difficult. But it's not even like difficult to play, it's more just difficult to deal with and to suffer through, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest problems I had with Bloodborne originally. That was it had some rough loading times at first.
See, I played it on day one, and then they were considerably worse. I still never had an issue with it. Like, I just felt like, there's so much time in between each death that it really never bothered me. There are other games, though, where, like, even, like, a 5-second respawn time would drive me nuts, because it's like, you just want to get back in there, you know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, because it's getting you out of the zone with that 20
Yeah. True that. Also, like, you're just so frustrated that guy killed you, and it's like, you want to get revenge and stuff. Like, I don't know, I can't remember what game specifically had that effect on me, but there definitely have been some.
It should be every single game that has that effect. It's always bullshit. We should never die. It's always some kind of bullshit that happens.
It's not me, it's him.
Yeah. The game's broken. There's like a bug or a glitch or something.
Sometimes it is though. But
Let me talk about a challenge annoying part in games that I don't like. Specifically, like I don't get me wrong, I really enjoy Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel, the Handsome Collection, all that. But like when you get up in the higher difficulties, the enemies are just like super, super, super bullet sponges.
ooh, that's
It's
a
really
good
annoying.
thing to
That
bring
like
up.
you'll have to put in like more than one clip to kill one enemy. And what is this? This is it's getting to the realm of tedium. It's
Agreed.
Yep.
hard pass. Like even in Uncharted, you got to shoot enemies like 8 times.
I
What,
mean, they're
7?
definitely bullet spongy. Like they definitely take a lot more damage than realistically should. But I've never had an issue with it. But Borderlands for sure. Like also
Oh
because
yeah,
partly
Borderlands is the
because
king of that.
the guns are just so inaccurate. Also the
Yeah.
reload is slow. I mean, unless you like heavily upgrade your shit, I assume. Um, and it's like to me that's how the bosses should be. Like I don't have a problem with bosses being bullet spongy, but when even the smallest minions are taking a full clip or more, that is not fun. Um,
Like, and again, that's almost part of the weirdness of Borderlands. Like, it has a lot of weird quirks that sort of work and sort of don't. Almost in that, because like you're gonna die a bunch, but you go into like fight for your life mode, and with some characters, like will get buffs from being in fight from your life mode, and you'll do more damage that way. It's Borderlands is a weird game.
yeah, and it's like as much shit as I talk about Destiny. One thing I do give it credit for is like it doesn't abuse the bullet sponginess. Like
Not
at
at
least for
all.
the minions, like the smaller enemies, I'd say are totally reasonable as far as how much damage you have to put into them to take them out. The bosses, I mean, yeah, they can get bullet spongy, but to me, it's not really a bad thing. Like for a boss, I think it's okay. So I think that's one thing that they definitely did not screw up in Destiny for sure.
No.
And the tech that they use for that sort of thing scales really, really well with enemies.
Hmm.
So the enemies that you fight at level 1 are essentially the enemies you fight at level 20. You know, the same enemies, but they just scale up with you
Yeah.
to,
Well,
they do less damage to you
depending on what
usually.
area you go to. Like on
Yeah,
strikes, though, yeah, definitely, because you can kind of like select the difficulty or the level beforehand, right?
yeah. And even then, like I did a Nightfall just the other day, which is the sort of, it's one of the more difficult bits of content you can do in Destiny right now, except for the raid. And for the most part, it's supposed to be really, really challenging, and it can be. But the group I went in with, we all coordinated. We were all pretty decent, and it's all skill dependent. So that's the kind of difficulty that's good, where it's not unfair. It can be sometimes, but if you're good, then it, it's much more manageable and simple as a result.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what made me think of this or what game I was playing, but like one thing I like in games is like when you're failing, whether you know why you're failing or not. Like I can't.
You're right.
I'm
That's a
having a
good
hard
point.
time thinking of what game it was that I was playing that made me think of this, but like that is like a big deal to me. Like knowing, being able to feel what you're doing wrong and like knowing that it was you that did something wrong to me is a big deal because like when you don't know and it doesn't necessarily feel like you're screwing up or doing something wrong, it's just a much more frustrating and not enjoyable experience. But when you know it's you screwing up, you know it's you're 100% to blame, then it's just way more fun. Like, and then the difficulty is enjoyable because it's rewarding when you finally get it right.
Yep, that is part of why I don't play too terribly many like player versus player games. Because oftentimes when I do try to dabble, like say when I'll be playing Overwatch this weekend, I'll be playing with many, many people that have played for 100 more hours than me. And there'll be a lot of times where I come out of where a guy will just somehow have like teleported behind me. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that guy could do that, and now I'm dead. Fuck that. Or though I didn't even know they could somehow jump on top of the roof of the moon or wherever they jumped up to, and they've shot me from there. And that is not fun.
And I don't think it's the example what made me think of it, but definitely racing games and racing sims, and often the difference is the force feedback that's given through the wheel, because a game like Assetto Corsa, which has excellent force feedback, if you're spinning out, if you're screwing up, missing a corner, you know it's you. Like, you can feel that it's you. But then some other ones that have really terrible and kind of numb force feedback, like, say, iRacing or Forza, then it's just not fun. Because, like, you're not feeling what is going on with the car, so you're not, like, realizing what you're screwing up. But that isn't even the game that made me think of it. And I'm just curious for my own sake what game I was thinking of. But that is definitely something that comes up for me when I'm playing games. And anytime you die or fail, like, that can often be the difference between me just getting frustrated and pissed off and me wanting to get right back into it and, you know, um, beat whatever the challenge is or whatever's going on.
You're also describing a lot of MMO content. When you're with a, small group of people, and it less so for dungeons and, some of the lesser content, but definitely more for the raids. And when you get into like higher difficulty of raids, or in World of Warcraft's case, ramping up dungeon difficulty exponentially, that's something that shows very, very well, where you generally know if you're in a group of 5 or 10 people and something, shit hits the fan and you all die. Generally, people know if what they did, is the cause of all that. So that's sort of thing is why those games are really addictive. Because one, you get the loot that's always getting better and looks really cool, and two, it's just that end result of finally fighting that or killing that boss that you spent hours, days, weeks, months on. And I've been in all situations like that, spending literally months trying to kill one boss in an MMO, or being able to knock out something really difficult in a matter of hours just because we're all clicking really well with one another.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of thing is good. If something is able to be killed and we finally do it, that kind of challenge is always nice. Of course, there are certain things where sometimes bosses just can't be killed because of your gear and stuff like that isn't good enough, and that happens. And that's why you keep trying until you are good enough. Your gear is good enough. But that when you gave your example, that's the first thing, or when you said that was the first example I thought of, like some of the bosses and stuff that I work or sometimes bang my head against literally months at a time against in World of Warcraft. Some of those end results, despite how challenging they were really, really enjoyable.
Yeah.
See, that's where like the line goes for me for not being like fun anymore. Like when you have to like hyper specify and just invest so much more time for that extra 5%, like for an extra like 5% of content, but you're investing like 50% more time. Like for me, for that was like Destiny. Like I did everything I had high level stuff for raid gear, and I did the raid once to do it, and I was like, I'm done with this. Like I didn't want to do like they had the Trials of Osiris where it was like 3 versus 3 and you tried to win 10 matches, and I did that once, and but like, 'cause like, did I want to be the best player in the Crucible? No. I do. I always want to be playing with a microphone with other people. No. I play games the way God intended, which was in a dimly lit basement by myself, and that is what I always strive to do. And so, like, I don't always want to have to be linked in to play. A lot of times, I want to be playing for 15 minutes, and I'll take a 15-minute break, and I can't. You can't do that a lot when you're playing multiplayer with other people.
Nope.
Sometimes matches will take half an hour, and you can't just stop playing 20 minutes into it because something came up.
Yeah.
Or you have a kid.
Yeah, too.
That's why I respect that sort of challenge and the desire to tackle those challenges. And once upon a time may have, attempted to tackle those challenges and succeeded in some cases myself. But these days, I just don't have the time or the patience to do that sort of thing. If I wanted to play nothing but Destiny, sure, I could raid and be in the upper echelon of players. I did a bunch of PvP matches last week, and I was coming out on top most of the time because my gear was pretty good, and I was just, I was just clicking at the time. Do I want to do that all the time? Absolutely not. PvP was like pulling teeth. I prefer to play it by myself as much as possible, and because, it kind of ties into the patience thing. I have so many games to play and that I can't play, and that I have to play, or will come out that I want to play, that it's not really worth it to me to want. I mean, the challenge, when it doesn't detract from the game, is fine, but if the challenge becomes more frustrating and adds to the time that it takes, then it becomes a little, then I'll second guess and maybe alter my approach, just because I don't, it's not something that I want to do anymore. It's not something that's appealing to me anymore. Not with a kid that I can't always play games around, or I can't play games that I can't pause at a moment's notice. And, games like Bloodborne are really difficult. Games like Destiny even are pretty difficult. I have later tonight to play, and who knows if I'll actually get to play it this weekend because my wife is going to be busy, so I have to be on baby notice 24/7. So, I mean, plus...
You can't read during that.
No. Plus, I have just straight up noticed that in the last 5 or so years that my hand-eye coordination has diminished a little bit. I'm not 20 anymore. I'm almost 31, so I'm definitely feeling some of the effects of getting a little older. And I am, some things, some Twitch shooters I'm worse at, and that's more frustrating. Which is why I enjoyed Overwatch. It was a lot more forgiving with a lot of the characters and stuff like that, and give you the ability to heal or be more of a support character versus straight up just killing someone and shooting them in the head. And
yeah, it's not like a Call
position.
of Duty.
Yeah, which is why I vastly preferred Overwatch or even Battlefield, where I'm able to be a medic and go around healing people, versus just Call of Duty, where I have to kill people. So
yeah, I'm kind of the opposite.
That adds to it.
I kind of rely on my reaction times to win stuff in Call of Duty, and because that's why I've always loved Treyarch's Call of Duty, other than Black Ops 3, which I thought was terrible. But I love the ones where they have the maps that just funnel players into each other, because gun on gun, you're done. That's just what I like the best, because that's where I have the biggest advantage. It's not strategy or knowing the map real well. It's just, I see you, I can pull out my gun and shoot you in the head faster than you can shoot me. And that's exactly what I look for in a shooter, which is probably why, well, maybe not why, it's one of the reasons why you love Overwatch and I don't. Because actually, I mean, it is kind of like that, where it's very much reflex based, although there is other options, like you said, you can be a medic. But it is one of the reasons why I still like Call of Duty type shooters online the most. I've definitely dabbled with Battlefield and stuff, but typically I prefer the fast action. And like you were saying earlier about multiplayer, like, it can be hard to like sit there and get a big session in, but that's actually why I really enjoy games like Call of Duty and Rocket League, because it's just so quick in and out. Like,
Yeah,
matches are typically
I love
7 minutes maybe.
games that are pick up and play like Rocket League, like you just said. That'll like auto match me up with people. I like that. Just throw me in with randoms, get me in and out, never see him again.
Yep.
Like that was something I liked about Killing Floor a few months ago.
Yeah.
I love that it was player versus environment. Just put people in the match. I didn't have to search for friends like you'd sometimes have to do for some things in Destiny, and I could go in and play my match with people with strangers that I didn't necessarily had to completely interact with, and that's my dream multiplayer scenario. I don't know you, and we're just gonna play the level, and then we'll move on with our lives.
Yeah, that's one tricky thing about a lot of co-op games is it can be hard to have that drop in and out type of gameplay. Though Killing Floor manages to do it, although they do also have different length matches.
Yes.
Like there'll be some long ones that last quite a bit longer. There'll be also some quick ones that are only like 4 rounds and stuff, and are usually done in I think under 10 minutes or something. But no, that's definitely something I look for in my multiplayer shooters, which is why like I've been semi-curious about what's it called, PUBG, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But like one of the barriers for entry for me is the fact that I think the matches are like up to an hour long each or something.
Pass.
Yeah, and it's like I understand why, but also maybe the biggest problem for me is that you die, you don't respawn, and that's one thing I can't deal with. Like, cause I'm just too impatient. I get too bored.
Well, you can quit out immediately after you die. There's no
Punishment.
Yeah, there's no purpose for you left in the game once you're dead.
Oh, good. That's good. I mean, it's just because, like, stuff like Counter-Strike Go, like, well, at least, like, the competitive modes, I do actually like Arms Race, because you do have respawning, and it's kind of Call of Duty-like a little bit. But, like, as far as the competitive, and even Search and Destroy in Call of Duty, hate them. Like, just because I cannot sit there and wait. Especially because sometimes you might die because of a BS reason, or because some dude was camping, and then it's just, it makes it that much harder to wait. And, like, when I first started playing Call of Duty, my friends were all into Search and Destroy, and like I just couldn't do it. Like I suffered through it for a while just because I wanted to play with my friends, but like eventually I was just like, you know what, I'm done. And I don't know, that's probably part of the reasons why I rarely ever play with friends online anymore. Just because I feel like you get stuck in a rut sometimes. Like you want to keep playing with your friends, but you get bored of the game, or at least I do, because I get bored of games super quick. As far as multiplayer wise, if I'm not just having an absolute blast, like for me it's all or nothing. Like either I'm having a ton of fun or I want to quit. Pretty much with multiplayer.
Avoid
absolutely.
Fortnite and its Survive the Storm content then. It's well, Fortnite has a couple different modes now, and including a PUBG type of mode, but
when does that come out? The Battle Royale thing? Is it out now?
It's sort of out now, sort of officially out on the 26th.
Okay.
But the game still costs money to play right now. If you don't want to wait until sometime early next year when it'll go free
I
to
thought
play.
the Battle Royale thing they're doing was like super free.
Well, Fortnite is going to be super free down the line, but you have to pay for it now. I'm not entirely sure if the Battle Royale portion of it is going to be separately available for free sooner. I don't know. But
How about I Google it?
You Google that. In the meantime, they had a bit of content called Survive the Storm, which was basically like a glorified Horde mode on top of the building mechanics and the longest lasting amount of days that you had to survive. Basically warned you during the tooltips before you started, hey, if you don't have at least 4 hours to spare, don't start.
Damn. Well, I guess that's the good thing about it being free eventually is like there's not a huge amount of risk in downloading it because it's free. But
Well, some of the They're shorter days. I think the longest one is like 16 days, which is a little much. You can do one for
Damn.
3 days, which is 30 minutes to an hour. And a normal Fortnite
That's not
match
bad.
is usually maybe like 30 minutes, which is why I really love Splatoon. Um, the co-op horde mode and the multiplayers. Well, the co-op horde mode never takes more than 5 to 10 minutes. The multiplayer matches are all about 3 minutes long or something like that. And again,
Damn.
you don't have to be super skilled at killing players. All you have to necessarily do is ink the ground and, cover as much real estate as possible in your color ink.
Huh.
So it rewards you for being a team player versus just going out and killing people, which, of course, killing people is important because it keeps them from being able to ink the ground and take over, but still, it gives you options in how you can play. It gives people who like killing and are good at that sort of thing the ability to do so. It gives people who aren't so good at doing that, like me these days, to just, cover as much real estate as possible, and every match is over in a matter of 3 or 4 minutes. I think it's 3 minutes.
That's nice. By the
That's
way, I
about
did.
as wonderful
Fortnite Battle
on the
Royale is going to be free on the 26th.
It's interesting.
It'll be the first. I'm reading off Polygon. Battle Royale will be the first fully free-to-play Battle Royale on the market. Blah blah blah. On PlayStation 4, and because I guess they're really trying to beat Player Unknowns out to the consoles.
Well, because I think that got like timed exclusivity with Xbox, didn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
and they're still even beating that out. So
Good.
So you don't have to play. You don't have to buy Fortnite to play Battle Royale Fortnite.
no, you do not need to own Fortnite to play Fortnite Battle Royale.
It's interesting.
That's good. And I don't know what the hell happened to H1Z1, but I don't know. Who cares? You snooze, you lose. And Daisy. Remember when they announced Daisy on like one of Sony's press conferences? What a joke. That game's never come. It's vaporware.
Well, that's because Sony didn't even want Sony Online anymore. They sold that studio. Their whole online gaming division.
They made like PlanetSide 2 or whatever.
And EverQuest.
Yep.
And I think they just sold it, and the studio renamed and
Daybreak,
rebranded
I think.
and everything. Yep.
I played about 15 minutes of PlanetSide 2. I mean, if you like vastly multiplayer shooters with like a frame rate of 6, I mean, that's your game.
I've never seen it that bad.
You're not missing it. You just scroll right past it.
I've never seen anything remotely that bad. But no, like I've played it. The problem with me, I think it's very interesting, but the problem for me is I don't like the gunplay. Like, for the most part, like it's another game where I don't think the controls are calibrated right. Like the joystick, it doesn't feel very intuitive to aim and stuff. But also, like, I don't know, just not like the guns take forever to reload, and anytime guns take a long time to reload, I don't have fun. Like in Call of Duty, the first perk I always equip is Sleight of Hand. I just cannot live without it.
I have a gun in Destiny that reloads in about 1 second flat, and it's amazing.
That's nice. Yeah. That is definitely a good thing. I just feel like it's more fun when guns reload quick. Or, like Doom, don't have to reload at all.
Yeah.
Although, like, I can't tell you how many times I end up pulling out the chainsaw in Doom because I'm just so used to hitting that friggin' square button after shooting a bunch and stuff. Like, but yeah, no, that is definitely a cool thing about Doom. And plus the weapon wheel, like, yeah, Doom is definitely a lot of fun.
Yeah, Nightmare was such a great experience. So glad that I played it on that.
Yeah, I'm going to try it because I have been playing a little bit of Doom lately. Might even go for the platinum, but yeah, I don't know. You guys have anything else to add?
Let me look up real quick. Is there any games coming out next week that matter?
Danganronpa, bitches.
I think Project Cars, right?
I'm so excited.
Oh yeah, Project Cars comes out next week. if one of the stupid ads gets out of the way, I'll be able to look at the page. Oh my god,
I
yes.
signed up to win a copy of Project Cars 2 because
Why
I'm not
not?
buying it yet. Gran Turismo, much higher priority.
Yeah, Project Cars comes out tomorrow.
Oh, huh. Friday release. I don't like Friday release, to be honest.
There's a
GT
bunch of
Sport is
Friday
coming out on Friday
releases.
too.
That Japanese porn water gun game, Peach Beach Splash, Senran Kagura is coming out on Friday too.
Porn water
That's
gun
in
game? What?
Europe. I don't know. There's just these
Like wet T-shirt contest
Yes.
water gun game? Dude,
Yeah,
that's
that
just
game.
so silly.
Yeah, Japan, man.
YouTube, Senran Kagura, they're pretty ridiculous games.
Yeah, you YouTube it and make sure your windows are shut so you don't get judged.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I kind of like that about Japan, though, like how they're just unapologetically politically incorrect with stuff like that, like Kojima.
It's
Like-
a vastly different culture, that's why.
Yeah, like in some ways, I don't know if it's the greatest thing. Because I've heard that their birth rates are actually declining badly.
Oh, they're dropping boys and girls are just my wife has shown me some documentaries on them. There's a lot of things where people just don't want they don't leave their room anymore. They just sit in their
Yeah,
room.
well, because they work like crazy and stuff, or focus on school, and so they don't really. Yeah, I think it would be cool if they socialize more. But the other thing is the whole used underwear in the vending machine. Yeah, I don't know about that one. But otherwise, I love how they are with their creative work and art. They're not going to bend to. I mean, it is a different culture over there, but it's funny because Kojima, got a bunch of shit about the Quiet costume, and it's I think he did respond to it, but he didn't change anything, and I love that. I think whatever your artistic vision is, stick to it. Fuck the noise. Fuck all the politically correct, snowflakes. Do what you want to do, because especially because the Metal Gear is heavily, heavily, heavily inspired by 80s action movies, and it just wouldn't reflect the time, that genre, if you were
It's meant to be theatrical.
exactly that whole era had stuff exactly like Quiet. So it's and plus Quiet was a fucking awesome character. Quiet's one of my favorite characters in the whole series. Not because of her looks, obviously. I mean, I'm just I thought she was a super interesting character. I loved the boss fight. Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. But no, I just thought it was a super interesting character, to the point where, and I also loved her as a buddy, where I didn't want to do the mission where, well, spoiler alert, you lose her, but apparently you can replay that first fight with her 11 times or something like that to get her back after that. But I was like, nah, I'll just use the butterfly emblem to stop that from happening, which is what I did. So I've never actually played that mission myself. I have watched it on YouTube, though, and it's definitely interesting, pretty brutal, but very interesting story-wise, too.
Yeah, that Peach Beach Splash game, it's supposed to play, I guess, almost similar to Splatoon. I read that somewhere. So it's probably a fun game to play. But I remember reading something recently. The director's yeah, I've heard comments about the sexuality in my games, but the breasts are a very important part of the game.
Well, this is coming from a game that has been compared to Power Stone, and the goal of it is to beat the clothing off underage girls until
Yes.
Underage?
they're
Mhm.
well, the age of consent in Japan is lower than in a lot of states in the United States, so
7.
it's okay
What?
for a 14-year-old to have giant
7?
boobs.
It's not 7.
That's scary. Well, because I know, in Germany, it's only 14 or something, and to me, that's too low.
Japan, I think it might be. It's either 14 or 16. I don't remember which, but
Isn't
a
it
lot
16
of these
in America?
depends on the state.
It's
I
goes
think.
state by state.
Oh, that's
Yep.
weird.
But the Senran Kagura fighting games are all about literally beating the clothes off of girls until their boobs are out and
Yes.
barely covered by band-aids. to cover the nipples,
Yeah,
and
like
that's how you win.
yeah, watch one of the trailers and you're gonna go, "Gee, oh my god, this is not what I was expecting." Even though I was expecting it.
You know what I was not expecting? For a Danganronpa game to use the word "come" in the demo. Very surprising.
You just don't beat around the bush. Get right to
Nope.
it.
Japan.
Man, Anita Sarkeesian must be throwing a fit.
Well, she's always throwing a fit.
Yeah, about everything.
Yeah.
But all right, I think we've just about covered it.
I think so.
Yeah. All right, cool.
And
Well,
come.
thanks for listening, everybody. We will talk to you next time.
The best way to